I have finally finished a knitting project in what feels like forever. So today we're going to chat all about knitting. If you don't know who I am, my name is Lily. I'm normally a book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, but I'm also an avid knitter and I listen to a ton of audiobooks while I read. So we're going to chat about knitting today. Grab yourself a drink because this is going to be a lengthy one where I chat about the process of it. So, what did I finish, you might ask? I finished the Orchid Bloom sweater. Here we go. It is so hot right now. Excuse the fact that I will not be wearing this. I know that one of my main feedbacks that I've gotten from people who've watched my videos and friends of mine, it's like, every time you wear a knitted piece, you need to wear it. And I'm telling you, it is so hot to be wearing this. Basically, it is this. Oh, here we go. Like this. I'll put my hand behind this. It has this gorgeous yoke lace, yoke lace? Lace yoke. Here it is. With this double folded collar, it also has lace details on the sleeves. So let me just chat about it. Obviously, the details for the pattern will be below, but let me just start off with saying I've been recently trying to only knit things that have been top down or bottom up. I hate seaming with a burning passion. So it was actually honestly stunning for me that this required no seaming. I needed to patch up holes and like seam in ends and stuff like that, which obviously I hate. Who doesn't hate weaving in ends? Like, I was gonna say comment below, but actually don't comment below because I just want to pretend that everyone hates that. But anyway, so in terms of that, in terms of ease, that was beautiful. 100% could not recommend more. In general, this pattern was written really beautifully as well. I don't really have feedback on that in general, but it gave me some issues. So let me just run through how it was. I will link down below some TikToks as well about me crashing out while knitting this one because I don't have any camera footage because I was traveling at the time. But wow, I started this um collar because I found out that first of all I have plane and traveling anxiety. I didn't find that out, but I've known knitting has helped that, but only certain things. So for example, I started the collar on when I was traveling internationally. I started the collar when I was going around to visit family and whatnot, and so I started it on the plane, and that was fine because it is a traditional knit what like per knit one rib one. I was like knit one pro one rib. No, per rib one, like a 1 by 1 rib. So that was really easy. And it's really big because it's a folded over collar and it's sewed folded over. I've had to do collars where you pick up stitches and you cast them off. I maybe should have done that for this sweater, but I was like, I'm gonna just trust it. And you know what? I should maybe have done that. But anyway, so I started that. The yoke, okay, it is stunning, like absolutely gorgeously stunning. I can't get over it. I cannot wait to wear this. I cannot wait for people in my life to compliment me. If you see me in my life, compliment me on this because I lost sleep over it. I had so many nightmares when I was knitting this yoke. And just for context, this yoke I think is 66 rows or something, at least for my size. And so I had literal nightmares. I was visiting family at the time. I had literal nightmares about finishing this yoke. I would have dreams where, like, I would make a mistake, or I'd have dreams where I would be, like, sleep knitting. And it's not, I wouldn't say that it couldn't happen that I could sleep knit because I do sleepwalk and I sleep talk. So sleep knitting, I feel like, is not the worst nightmare to have because I feel like it could happen. But I was having sleeping dreams, sleeping problems. This was keeping me up in my sleep because I was having problems like dreaming that I was going to mess this up. Because the very, very few times that I messed this up, thankfully, I never had to go back and go through it all again because honestly, that would be insane. Like, I might have frogged it because this yoke, while gorgeous and beautiful and absolutely stunning, like look at that, is so hard. There were so many yarn overs, and that was actually the only mistakes that I ever made would be that I would forget to do a yarn over. And I solved this by basically just picking up a stitch as if I had yarned over, because it looks honestly the same, and I was not going back a whole row at that point because it was 66 rows of this and each leaf was a repeat. So I think there's about 15 like repeats that you only got bigger because the yoke got bigger at that point. So the mistakes and the chances of mistakes were only bigger. And it would be this thing where like I couldn't look at a chart because I'm not really good at reading charts. So thankfully, the maker of this pattern wrote out each row, but it meant I was having a really hard time with it. I didn't print it out. I probably should have printed it out, but I would also be like watching TV while doing this. So every row, without fail, every row for this lace repeat or this lace yoke, I would write out by hand each of them. And so I'd also write down lines in the pattern for what was like the main middle part. So I would literally write out each row by hand so I could do this. And so I was really, really focused on not making mistakes. And I still did. But as I said, I picked up the stitches and it was okay. But anyway, I was having literal nightmares because I was like, oh my God, I'll have to go back. Because that was my literal nightmare about that I would have to go back. And so when I finally finished, and I would literally like it got to the point at the end where I had lost so much sleep, I was having so many nightmares about this, that I basically told my family, I'm gonna finish this today. Like, do not talk to me. I need to finish this today. I'll watch movies with you. I'll watch TV shows with you. I don't care, but I'm finishing this today because I need to sleep well. That's just it. So it wasn't like tremendously difficult, this particular part of it, but I did lose so much sleep over it in a way that if you watched my brioche slipover vlog, which I'm sorry I didn't get any vlog footage, that's actually something I want to do better at in the future, but that made me cry. That made me cry and that made me like crash out in real life, but I didn't really lose sleep over it. I was just sad. But this made me lose literal sleep. But then we get to the stockinette part of the body. Super, super fine, super easy, whatever. The stockinette and the rib, like honestly, could do that again. It was actually though so much stockinette that I kind of got bored after it and I almost wanted to put it down, which is weird because it's so easy. But at the same time, it was like so mind-numbingly easy that I just didn't want to do anymore. So that was difficult, I guess, but not as difficult. But anyway, then we went back to the sleeve. And I will say that picking up the stitches for the sleeve, like in this area, was difficult for me. I haven't done a ton of that. And honestly, I don't think this one made like it was very good for me. I had to fix a lot of holes and actually holes on only one side. So for some reason in what I was doing, I don't know if it was like the first cast on stitch or the first cast off stitch. So I don't know if it was an issue with me casting off stitches for the underarm or me, casting on stitches for the underarm that was a problem. But basically on the underarm side, which should have worked out beautifully and it should have been perfectly beautiful. But for me, on each underarm, on one side, there was a little bit more of a hole. And so I had to take thread and fix that up. Or like I took wove the ends to fix that up. But yeah, and then for the sleeves, beautiful stockinette. As I said, though, did get a little bit bored, except I don't know what I did last time I did a sweater. Honestly, though, before this, I'd only knit one sweater that wasn't bulky. So the other ones I was able to do without having to get any extra needles. But for some reason, for these sleeves, I had to get extra 25 centimeter asymmetrical needles, and for one of the sleeves, and I'm having the literal same problem in my current work right now. I ended up having the short side be like this. I'm right-handed. The short side be the one that was doing like the movement of the stitches, and for me that just doesn't work. Like I did it for the whole sleeve, but it was really hard for me. And oh well, not for the whole sleeve. This is actually in half a millimeter smaller, but I did it for all of the stockinette, and I was like, this is so awful. It is so slow. For some reason, it's just not clicking. I was having to hold it harder and with more tension, so I was getting more wrist pain. Like it just was not working. And so for the other sleeve, I did it differently. The longer side was on my working needle side, which is definitely what it should do. Like, I've also fixed that in my current work in progress, and it's just infinitely better. But for some reason, I just can't get it together. Like, I have aphantasia, so I can't picture things in my mind at all, which is why for knitting, I'm kind of like, I trust the process. But for knitting specifically, when I'm kind of like, okay, if I want to have my working needle be the long one, I think I need to start off with the short one, and because it's going to go like this, and then when it goes like this, it's going to turn around, and but then I'm going to work on that way, and like, or am I going to work the other way? I can't get it together. I need someone to actually sit down and help me with that because I just can't. I cannot form the picture in my head, so I can't manipulate it, and I can't. If you do have aphantasia and also knit or crochet, let me know down below because I love to know. And then this sleeve detail was in 0.5 millimeter smaller for the lace. This is really beautiful too. You can actually see the leaf pattern a lot better here, and you can just see how absolutely gorgeous it is. It's the same leaf pattern, I'm pretty sure, to the top, but here it's so beautiful, and this is also slightly a little bit smaller. Um, I really enjoyed doing this, but I do feel, and I know that it's supposed to go straight into the cuff. I'm still a little bit conflicted about how I feel on that. I think it would look weird if it did this and like didn't go into the cuff, and for all the sizes, it does that. Um, but yeah, also for me, to do the amount of decreases that I had to do for this, the sleeves are actually a smidge too long, a little bit longer than I would prefer because I have quite short arms and I like it to not go all the way to my wrist. So what I actually should have done is looked at the pattern and decreased the amount of rows I had between decreases. This is just something I should have done, but by the time I thought about it, one sleeve was done, and there's no way in hell I was gonna change that. But yeah, in general, this was really easy, and I had gotten the hang of the lace by this point. But let me just talk about the thing that I guess I messed up, and that is the collar. I foreshadowed that the collar was gonna give me problems, and to be honest, I was probably the number one skeptic of the collar when I first looked at the pattern because I'd never done a folded over collar. I've only ever done ones where you pick it up, but for me, any other sweater pattern I've done, you have a collar like this, and then you kind of go out for your sweater. But for this, it was like a collar, and then you kept going out like this. So I already knew the collar was going to be more gradual, and you can tell that the collar isn't like this and then like that. It's definitely like this. It's a more kind of gradual collar. I think it looks very elegant, but I messed up. I don't normally see my own stuff because I'm really bad at it, but my assistant was out of order at this point, and so I had to do this in order to film things. I had to do the sewing myself. I don't know if I should have done that. I actually okay, no. I should have done that because it's a good skill to have, and I like what happened, but I made a mistake, and my assistant would not have made the mistake. But let me explain. So, this is what the collar looks like. And from far away, you can see that there's a strict delineation of a line between the collar and actually it's sewn so beautifully, I must say so myself, that for the most part, this is why I messed up. For the most part, it is kind of like a transition between knit to knit and purl to purl. There are only a few parts where I got that mixed up, or it's like one row off, basically. I don't really mind because from far away, you honestly can't tell. And this is something that non knitters are not going to be able to tell anyway. But you get a line here. You can see it from far away. You can see it from a little bit closer. I don't have the autofocus on my camera, but you can see it closer. There's a line, okay? That line I don't think is supposed to be there because I'm pretty sure that when I was doing this, I did it wrong. I thought that you had to turn it inside out, and you did. You had to turn it inside out and you had to fold it down and sew it. I turned it inside out, and when I turned it, I turned the collar the wrong way and sewed it down. So as you can tell, this has been sewed down like this. But if you give me a second, I will reverse the sweater in the way that it was when I did it. And you'll see what I think they wanted you to see on the other end, which is nothing. They wanted it to be a very seamless transition between them, and I messed that up. So this is no pattern fault. It's just me fault. But basically, you're supposed to have this beautiful, honestly stunning thing where honestly there's literal no problems. There's no problems with what I did here, where the thing is like immediately and beautifully done on everyone. Like honestly, that is just so gorgeous. I must say that is gorgeous. And while you can tell from behind that there's a collar, I would say in person the difference is honestly not very much. You can see it still on camera because on camera it's still picking it up. But like if you wear it, you can see that the difference is very minimal. Okay. And that's what it's supposed to look like. Unfortunately, this is the inside. And so when I was filming it, or when I was sewing it, I think I actually ended up folding the collar over to the right side, which it should have been folded over to the wrong side. And so, yeah. But it's not the end of the world because I actually don't love how that looks. I know why it is. And actually, since I started this project, I have acquired a few sweaters that were made entirely out of merino wool, and merino wool is expensive. And so I've tried to make these concessions where I will knit things that I really love and whatnot, but it's not like it's cheaper than buying a sweater in most cases, specifically not a 100% merino wool sweater. And so I had gotten that, and it is the same thing where the collar yoke goes seamlessly into the body. And while I like that, and I still love the sweater, and it is a little bit of a wider sweater, it's a size up for me because I got it used. I don't love actually how it looks when it's a seamless transition, which honestly, if you had told me beforehand, I would have been like, what's the difference? But I see a difference. And so I actually, surprisingly, really like it, like the messed up way. And it's funny because you can also feel that the seam is on the outside, which I feel like is not what it's supposed to be. But yeah, so I clearly messed that one up. But I actually ended up really liking it. But that's like the main roller coaster, body of my sweater in general. I still really love it. It's the only sweater that I've kept that's not bulky yarn, I think. And I make the distinction between bulky yarn because bulky yarns look different, they knit up different, they're generally faster, but as I said, they're bulkier. And so they're not as refined, in my opinion, just based on the literal like look of them. And so I only have one sweater that I've kept. I've knitted a bunch of sweaters and they just have not been my style. And it's because for me, I don't actually prefer bulky yarn. And so this is my first non-bulky yarn sweater. I've knit a bunch of non-bulky yarn sweater vests, which you've seen in the past. But my first sweater, and I've got to say, I'm pretty chuffed even though I made mistakes and I lost sleep. I still love it and I'm pretty chuffed. In general, there aren't that many mistakes. I say this because I know that I know that a lot of people like to say that the little mistakes in handmade knitted projects show that a person made them and not a machine and not like an overall arching deity of your choice. So for me, these mistakes, I feel like even for me are like relatively small, where I'm kind of just like meh. But I still really love it. I did have a spot where maybe I can show it. I did have a spot where I transitioned from yarns and it made like a really big uh hole thing. Not a hole, but like it made a really lumpy part of the transition yarn where it would keep poking to the front, the bubble bit. So I pulled that to the back and I kind of sewed it down with some yarn. From the outside, you honestly can't tell. Here, I'll show you. From the outside, you can't really tell, like, where is that, right? I just poked my finger into it, but you can't really tell. But yeah, I am still really chuffed. I am. I really love it. I would definitely recommend this sweater, especially if you love lace and you love this look of the leaves. Also in green, like it is just the perfect combination. When I bought this yarn, which is the Loops and Threads Luxe Merino yarn, when I bought it, I knew that I wanted to make this pattern. And I'm so happy I did because a lot of the people who knitted this knit things with mohair. I can't I don't love the feel of mohair. I gotta be honest with you, I don't. And so I'm kind of coming around to the idea of knitting it with a strand of kind of this yarn with some mohair in it. But anything that's too much mohair, I textilely, I just hate the feeling of it. It just gives me like I can't talk about it anymore because it physically is giving me the heebie-jeebies right now. But yeah, I just have been taking a lot of patterns that have been doing these or holding two strands of lace yarn together and adapting it for kind of this gauge and really enjoying how this is coming out. So yeah, thank you for being along on my knitting journey. Please let me know if you've knit this one as well. And I hope to see you in the next knitting video. Bye everybody.